For my theoretical analysis project, I chose to focus on Marxist theories, which can be applied to multiple concepts and themes in Black Mirror. Marxism derives from the name of Karl Marx, who was born in Germany in 1818. He became known as a foundational economic theorist, philosopher, and a revolutionary activist. Karl Marx was highly critical of capitalistic societies, and it was during his life that the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century in Europe experienced some significant changes within their economy. This includes the rise of consumerism and mass production, the high demand for labor and the exploitation of workers, and ultimately developed the formation of a hierarchy, or the class system. In other words, 19th century Europe is an example of industrial capitalism, an economic structure that shifted the relationships among society that ultimately only benefits those with wealth and power. This began the hard work of Karl Marx alongside his collaborator Friedrich Engels in their development of political, economical, and socialist theories. And so, Marxism can be defined as a theory or method of criticism concerned with ideology, class, and the distribution of power in a society. These theories and methods are introduced in Das Kapital, the German ideology, and the Communist Manifesto. We can define the tenets of Marxism throughout these works. First introduced in the German ideology is materialism, the philosophy that ideas, rules, laws, customs, and social arrangements are products of material conditions and practices of an economy. These are modes of production that create a societal and economic conditions. Conditions including specific ways of obtaining the necessities of life, specific social relationships between workers and those who control the mode of production, and specific social and cultural institutions. Because the economic system shapes the society, the modes of production are known as the base. The social, political, and ideological systems and institutions it generates are known as the superstructure. This includes popular culture. The term ideologies is frequently used in Marxist theory. Ideologies are essentially any coherent and systematic body of ideas. According to Marx, ideologies simply mask the material conditions of capitalism by being presented in ways that purposely justify a specific agenda or policy. A 19th century example of an ideological form is the art industry. Dominant classes may have used art as an ideological form that perpetuates class relations that benefit them, or one that revolutionaries may use to undermine the power of the dominant class. This introduces the concept of class struggle, which is essentially a perpetual struggle between social classes that is maintained by a system where both classes compete with one another for resources. Marx identified the two social classes as the bourgeoisie, or the capitalist class, and the proletariat, or the working class. In the Communist Manifesto of 1848, Marx and Engels argue that the bourgeoisie and the proletariat have fundamentally different interests, and that their interests are inevitably in conflict with one another. The bourgeoisie seeks to maximize profits by paying workers as little as possible, while the proletariat seems to earn higher wages and improve their living conditions. There are clearly those who want money and those who need it, and these competing interests lead to tensions and conflicts between the classes. Marx believed that this conflict would eventually lead to the downfall of capitalism and lead to the establishment of a socialist or communist society, where there would be no class distinctions and the means of production would be owned and controlled by the people as a whole. Within the Black Mirror series, materialism is a recurring theme, particularly in episodes that focus on the relationships between humans, technology, and popular culture. Among many Marxist scholars, Theodor Adorno is famously known for his take on popular culture ideologies in collaboration with his colleague Max Horkheimer and their work, The Cultural Industry, Enlightenment as Mass Deception. The cultural industry is an ideological form that operates as a means of social control perpetuated by the continuous desire for consumer goods. These Marxist scholars argue that the capitalist society produces cheap, standardized commodities that only dull people's minds and create a false sense of happiness and satisfaction. Adorno continues that the cultural industry provides a desire for consumer goods that withdraws a person's desire from their true needs, such as freedom, social equality, creative outlets, and the opportunity to fulfill their human potential. Now, let's apply these concepts to Black Mirror. Themes of materialism and the cultural industry kind of feel like it's in every Black Mirror episode, but let's focus on my favorite one and a perfect example, Nosedive. Nosedive follows the story of Lacey Pound and her life in a media-driven society where everyone is rated on a scale of 5 stars. This rating determines each individual's social status and economic worth, and they're encouraged to compete with one another. Sound familiar? Using the Marxist diagram, the superstructure of the episode include the ideologies of cultural industry that have been developed and valued from the rating system, which is the base. You may recall that Marx identified these ideologies, which produce specific ways of obtaining the necessities of life, specific social relationships between workers and those who control the mode of production, and specific social and cultural institutions, which overall reinforce norms and values that will equate to social acceptance and success and further perpetuate a cycle of conformity. This episode also provides an example of class struggle and the divide between the wealthy, high-status characters and the low-status characters, who are marginalized and excluded from social and economic opportunities because of their numerical rating, which of course establishes the social class titles of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Overall, this Black Mirror episode is a powerful critique of society and provokes an eerie feeling that maybe our own society and future is being represented. Even if our contemporary society isn't far off from Lacey's, it's clear that this episode serves as a thought-provoking example of how Marxist and cultural theories can be used to understand the cultural industry today.